Autism and Art Therapy, presented by Jolynne, Dennisse, Mao, and Teresita. Autism. What is autism? Autism is a neurological disorder that disrupts development. Children with autism tend to avoid making eye contact, have difficulty communicating with others, do not understand emotions, and struggle to interpret stimuli. Additionally, some children with autism also demonstrate repetitive body movements and/or limited interests. According to recent research, there are many forms of autism and levels of cognitive development. What do we know about autism? Autism is a neurological disorder that affects one child in every 150 children. The onset of autism is usually visible before the age of 3, and it is more common in boys than girls. Currently, there is no cure for autism. How can we help students with autism and their families? Due to the rise in the number of children diagnosed with autism, it is imperative that we connect families with the adequate resources to improve the quality of life, not only for the child, but for the entire family. Multidisciplinary research based methods should be taught to families and implemented with consistency to promote a positive outcome.
There is nothing quite like the arts that can tap so deeply into a person's soul. As an art teacher, I have personally witnessed the incredible benefits of children creating art. Also, as a mother of an autistic child, I have seen firsthand how incredibly beneficial the arts can be in personal expression and social connectedness. It was exciting for us to read our article on art therapy as it confirmed those benefits with methods and approaches and how to best help children with autism through the arts. Let's take a look at some of the findings and benefits of art therapy with children on the autism spectrum. Verbal communication can be frustrating or non-existent in an autistic child, so art therapy can be a non-verbal alternative form of communication. It provides them with a sense of mastery and autonomy and can provide a link to the outer world. It can be used to increase awareness of self, which in turn helps them relate to others. It can be used as an intervention to encourage developmental growth and social relatedness. It can be used with behavioral approach to manage problem behaviors and alleviate stress. It increases attention span and decreases impulsive behaviors. It can be used to help with visual characteristics of social situations, such as facial expressions. So the article had referenced Martin as saying, due to sensory issues, children with ASD, they see the human face more as an abstract pattern composed of different parts than an integrated map conveying emotional information about the individual. He went on to say, by drawing another face, you actually have to attend to their emotional expression. So they have to learn to separate themselves from the other. And this is why drawing portraits is such an effective way to engage in relationships for children with autism. I think one of the reasons I'm so passionate about the arts is because this is my daughter Ellie, and she is autistic. And the arts have been an incredible way for her to express herself. I will never forget when she was little, she was having a meltdown. And I pulled her aside and we tried to de-escalate and we started to talk and she started to express to me, she said, I just wish that everybody could see my imagination. I can't get my imagination out of my head. I want everyone to see it. And And I thought, oh my goodness, I said, well, honey, this is why, people become authors and movie makers and all of that. I said, it's people like you that get to express like all the creativity that you have inside of your heart and your mind. And you'll be able to do that someday. At this point, she hadn't really started doing art. And in the next slide, I will show you guys kind of where she's at now. Around the same time, Ellison had told me that she had different colors in her imagination than we had in our world. And I thought, wow, I want to go there. I want to bring attention to this angel drawing in the middle, too. Her quote underneath it was, I am an emotional mess. And this was maybe like a few years ago that she did that. She's 15 now. And I just thought it was interesting and so beautiful that she had painted her. And we just look at it and we think it's so beautiful. But that's how she was expressing that she felt like a mess that day, an emotional mess. So, yeah, the arts are an incredible asset to children with autism, as we have read in this article. And you're going to learn more about the methods in a little bit.
In this article, we have two case studies that help us understand how art therapy helps our children with autism. The first one is a 6-year-old boy who has been diagnosed with mental retardation. He has not developed schemata for objects, he has very poor language skills, and his speech was very high pitched and repetitive. And he has very poor eye contact and he has difficulty sustaining attention. This was a 7th month individual art therapy session. It all started with the art therapist asking the child to draw a house. Instead of drawing the house, he decided to write the word house. And the art therapist decided to start with Play Doh. The purpose of starting with Play Doh was to trace, and that would help the child with improve his poor motor skills. They did this repetitively until he mastered tracing. After mastering tracing, they decided to do something a little bit different. They they chose puppets as a next activity. The puppets were a great way to start conversations with the therapist. This was a great activity because children with autism have a lot of trouble engaging with others because they have lack of interest in socializing interests. So while playing with the puppets, the boy used different voices to talk to his therapist. This helped the child interact with his art therapist, and he had good eye contact and kept the conversation going with. After the puppet activity, they went back to drawing. This time, he was able to make figures that its parts connected, such as the neck connected to the head and it connected to its body. Now, the boy was able to communicate through his drawings and he shared joint attention. Near the end of his 7th month sessions, he drew 3 pictures. These 3 pictures reflected his development. The first one, he drew a McDonald's sign that represented his favorite restaurant. The second one was McDonald's playground. After he explained to the therapist what he was drawing, the therapist asked him how did he get there. He told the therapist that his mom would drive him here, and the therapist suggested him to draw how he got there. At the beginning, he wanted a toy model to draw, but the therapist suggested him to use his imagination, his memory. At the end, he put his three drawings together side by side, and at the bottom of the three pictures, he drew a line attaching all of his pictures together. At the end of his 7 month sessions, he made a book for his art therapist. During his therapy development, he built a relationship between him and his art therapist. He mastered motor coordinations and he was able to draw objects with meaning. The second case study is Emma. She's 18 years old and she was also diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Her treatment is for 7 months and she has difficulty socializing with others at school. Her goal is to become more social and to make new friends. Her first assignment or her first activity was to make a collage that represented herself. When she made her first collage or her first assignment, she did not contain any human figures and none of the pictures were touching. This represented her social isolation. A second activity was to be done, and in this new activity, they used crayons. She remained in the corner page when she was using the crayons, and she did not move towards the center of the page. And she didn't interact with the art therapist at all. The new art project was with coffee filters and watercolors. This time, the colors blended and created freeforms designing. So, this activity helped with the discussion and it helped to become part of the situation. This activity helped with role playing and it helped Emma respond to others when they are talking. This activity helped Emma and the therapist to communicate so that the therapist was able to listen to Emma. He was able to expand on Emma's expression and was able to provide exercise of focused or helped her on her central issues. Her next activity was an expressions collage. She had to write down expressions, then she had to find pictures that represented each expression. The art therapist then asked her questions. For example, she had to tell him or her if she had ever seen someone use those expressions or if she's ever used them herself. From there, the therapist can see which expressions she was able to understand and which ones she needed help with. And it also helped the art therapist um, develop or help her with more activities to understand those emotions. As the art therapy continued or her progress, Emma was able to express feelings more and she was able to connect with others. The next activity, she was asked to make another collage to express herself. And this time, she made a collage and she added people. At the end, she was able to report feelings and she felt more comfortable, increasing her involvement in school.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mao, and I will be talking about the theoretical perspective of our study. The question of the research article that the authors were focusing on was: is art therapy an effective supplementary intervention for ASD? They reviewed different research articles to determine if art therapy can improve the ability to relate, socialize, identify facial expressions, and improve joint attention. So, what led the authors to this question? A lot of individuals with ASD are highly visual and observant, so prior research suggests that art therapy plays into this strength. Over 50% of this population are considered nonverbal, so art therapy can be used as a form of communication and self expression. It can also help build competency. And while you can build competency in many other ways, art in general is very suitable for the ASD population because it's not intimidating and has a large sensory component. Art therapy can also contribute to self regulation. Art forms such as mandala drawings have been used as a centering device to decrease impulsive behaviors and improve attention. The author stated that there are limited studies on this topic because of its psychodynamic origins. It was once believed that autism was caused by inadequate parenting. In 2003, autism was finally recognized as a neurodevelopmental disorder. Because of this limitation, the authors conducted a meta-analysis of the research that has been done to examine how effective art therapy can be to individuals with autism.